Hi. Hello? Okay, I guess it's on. Hi. It's Will. It's been a couple of days. More like a week? Or maybe two. I haven't touched the tape in a while. After the sounds it made last week, I figured I should leave it alone, and I haven't touched it since. I'm not scared of anything, but I'd say it wasn't quite a pleasant surprise. But with that, and some of the things that I saw or heard this week, I figured I should keep making recordings. People need to know about this. Anyways, I went back outside, deciding that I wouldn't accomplish anything if I stayed cooped up here. As I go further out, I just see more and more, and it just keeps getting more colorful every step I take. I've been seeing more types of animals too. Healthy and vibrant varieties of the animals from Earth. The thing is, even in paradise, when there's vibrance, there's lifelessness. I saw the creatures that I know are here because they wouldn't walk around on our planet. No matter what way you interpret that, you're probably right. The human eye can see a single candle in pitch black darkness from almost 2 miles away. But in a landscape of light, a darkness can be seen from that far too. I would know. The Core Files 1.2. The days are getting harder to follow. Maybe 12 or 13 now? A couple of days ago, I decided to leave the cave. There's gotta be something or someone else out there, right? I don't know. I packed up the little things I had, some food that I collected, and my clothes, and, well, that's kinda it. But I decided to leave the recorder alone. Last week on that recorder, I heard things that I don't want to be a part of. I needed answers, but I wasn't about to dig into whatever that was. I figured my chances would be better in exploration, so I headed out of the cave. As I walk, things are as they always are. Extraterrestrial, extraordinary, extravagant, extravagant? Is the opposite of that undervagant? No, it's the same. It feels like I'm not even walking at all. I can feel my feet moving forwards, but the scenery doesn't change around me. It's not because of the same occultness as some of the other strange things here. Like, I know I'm moving forwards and everything's moving past me. It's just surreal. I want to say it doesn't even seem real, but everything's alive. The trees grow fruit, and the animals breathe, and I'm living in it, living with it. The past couple of days, I've just been walking along the edge of the water, away from that mountain, just looking. But the more I looked, it seemed like the less I would find. I would occasionally see an open field or strange new bird species, but it wasn't anything I wanted or needed to see. Eventually, I came up to a little bay on what looked like a lake that kind of branched off of the river. Looking at it now, it could have been more of a creek than a river. No, rivers can be... How wide are creeks? My friends and I used to play in this creek during the summer, but that was only like 10, 15 feet wide. What? Off track again. The bay, yeah. I went over and laid all my stuff down. Looking into it, it was just like the... river. It was just like the river. It was deeper and darker, but I could still see all sorts of things. I wanted to stare at all the fish and those little creatures. Crayfish. Crawfish? Crawdads? Hey, that's actually what we used to do in the creek. We would go down there and catch the... Oh my god. Anyways, I saw wooden planks down at the bottom. Not like sticks, like planks. A broken down old crate. The recorder and now this. This place has absolutely nothing except for trees and stupid singing fish, so I don't know what's going on. What this is, why things are changing but not changing. Why do I keep finding people-made things but not the people? I stripped my clothes and dove in. It was deep, but it wasn't that bad. I just saw some rotten wood and some old pieces of rusted metal over to the point of unrecognition. And a little lockbox. I brought it back up and studied it. Just a small black box with a lock on the front. Of course, I dove back in to look for the key. And of course, I didn't find one. I started looking around the sand and the grass. I didn't find the key. Now, with the newly opened box, I grabbed what was inside. It was a small metal sleeve, kind of like those sleeves that you put on credit cards so people don't hack you, but it was the size of an SD card. I dumped whatever it was into my hand. It wasn't quite like an electronic chip. It was thinner. Oh, you know what it looks like? One of those little breath mint strip things, but technological. I grabbed it with my other hand and held it between my thumb and my index finger up to my eye to look at it. And as I did, some kind of wave rushed through my body like the one by the mountain. But this time, as it rushed from my feet up to the rest of my body, my head started buzzing until I heard something. It wasn't like the siren song that I heard the first day or those hell noises that the recorder made the other day. This was in my head. I didn't know what...
The tree brush is getting closer and closer in. It's thicker too. Keep driving again and again. Round after round. Shit! What is this?
I heard someone. Another human being speaking. Half a month can feel like a long time. It just doesn't make sense, though. I heard a man talking and driving. Well, there's the second thing that doesn't make sense. From what I've said, I'm sure you know that driving around here, yeah, I can't say that the traffic here is ever really bad. Unless someone had a car here. Or this is from Earth. I don't get it. I keep re-listening to it. My guess is that when I close my fingers on it, it completes some kind of circuit and plays the audio out loud, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from a speaker. I keep thinking every time I listen to it, I'll get some sort of new clue or answer, but instead of a puzzle piece, I get 1,000 extra pieces to a completely different puzzle. And the obvious question, what did he see? What attacked him or whatever happened at the end? But I think I know now. I decided to set up camp here for a bit. Usually when I'm walking and I start to get really tired, I'll just lay under a tree and sleep. There's no night, so I kind of just do it whenever I need it. But I figured I should stay here a little longer, figure out all I can before moving on. That day, I grabbed all the stuff I could from the lake, with the big elephant ears, leaves, the sticks, wooden planks, and debris. I was able to makeshift a kind of lean-to teepee thing. I also built a fire on the beach. I remember learning this way to create embers. I think the tool was called a bow drill. I pulled my hoodie string out and tied each side to the end of a curved stick. It kind of looked like a bow from a bow and arrow kit. Then you take another stick and spin it up in the rope. Usually it's a rope, in this case, a hoodie string. The rope goes from one end, loops around the stick and to the other end. You put the vertical stick down next to some really small kindling and drag the bow back and forth, kind of like a saw. It spins the stick really fast and creates an ember. And then hopefully, fire. And it worked. As the fire grew, I just kind of sat there next to it. Today was an eventful day. And as I sat there, I took another look at the chip. I listened to it again. Every time it sounds and feels like the first time I listened. The same feeling I got when I first fell down by the mountain. Or the same feeling I got when I heard what was on that recorder a few days before I left the cave. It's not a feeling you get used to. I listened to it one last time before falling asleep. No different than before. It was the same recording, but I heard something else. There was music in the background. A soft and distant, almost cello-sounding melody. I couldn't get it out of my head. It cycled through my head as I drifted off. It cycled through my head. I woke up to dying embers and a tenacious ring in my head. As I sat up, I rubbed my eyes, scuffled through the sand and out of my little bungalow tent. And I looked around. I reached my hand inside my shoe. Context? Okay, last night I put the box with a chip in there so it wouldn't get lost. But when I reached inside, I felt something else. I pulled a recorder out. I could tell it was a different recorder than before. But as I turned it on and hit play, I heard myself. All the recordings are here. Kind of like when you get a new device and you take the SD card out of the old one and put it in the new one and everything transfers over. But I don't know how it got here. This isn't normal. Things are normally crazy, but in more of a sci-fi way, not a fantasy, magical things randomly getting teleported to your shoe kind of way. I skipped through it to the end to see what the last thing I recorded on it was. This time, it wasn't my voice. It was the man in the cello. Though this time I could hardly hear the man speaking. The instrumentation covered his voice. I'm not going to worry about it. I need to figure this out one piece at a time. Even if the chip is gone, I still have the recording. I need to focus on that. I took all the stuff I had and collected and walked away from the bay. This whole time I've been walking along this river and I wanted to stay here, but I need to find something new. I could always come back if I couldn't find another source of water. Before I came upon the bay, I was walking through a pretty dense junglescape, but this new area I started walking to was far more lush. The green spread closed in on me the same way the air is harder to breathe the higher up a mountain you are. I pushed and pulled vines and ducked under branches as I made my way across the terrain. The whole time I've been here, the sky has stayed more or less the same. It's always had the same luster. But as I walk through it, it seems to get darker out. I know, of course, the trees block light, but it's not that. It's the same feeling you get when the sun goes down, or when you close your eyes, and right before they close, everything's blurry, and you see your lashes covering your eyes. But it's not bad enough to where I can't see, so I'm still moving forwards. I walk for a bit, but something starts to catch my eye. I don't see any animals. Before, the river was filled with fish and all these amazing creatures, and the forest even more so, but there's nothing here. Until I heard them.